Let's read this first story. And I want to talk about Chris Cuomo because we have the story from timcast.com. Chris Cuomo accuses Don Lemon and Jake Tapper of violating journalism ethics. The reason why I think this is fun to start off with, because it shows the inner workings at some of these big media companies. Cuomo himself, he's ousted from CNN. He's now accusing other employees at CNN of wrongdoing, but he knew they were doing this while he was there, and he said nothing. I'm sure these other people who work there know they're all doing things that are bad. And considering what we see consistently with the media lies, I just thought it would be good to start off today with just very, very, deep breath, and they're admitting they're liars. I feel it's so good. Chris Cuomo now is backstabbing the organization. I'm glad to see it.
I am glad to see it too. One thing I think is hilarious though is Chris Cuomo coming forward and saying, the people need to know CNN isn't reliable. Someone has to tell them. If not me, how will they know?
Let me read this real quick. Chris Cuomo is seeking $125 million from CNN for allegedly wrongfully terminating him, and he is throwing his former colleagues under the bus in his attempt to get it. In his arbitration demand filed on Wednesday, Cuomo alleged that Jake Tapper, Don Lemon, former CNN president Jeff Zucker, and former executive Allison Gollust engaged in blatant breaches of journalistic ethics. Quote, as long as Zucker and Gollust believed CNN's ratings would benefit, they were more than willing to disregard breaches of traditional journalistic standards by CNN personalities such as Don Lemon and Jake Tapper, or even to engage in blatant breaches of journalistic ethics themselves, Cuomo's filing stated. Not that we all didn't already know this, but it's good to hear it. And I just want to point out one more thing. In this document from the filing, I was really hoping it was going to be on March 15th that Cuomo issued this statement.
The Ides of March.
Yeah, but it was March 16th.
So basically what he's saying is he shouldn't have been fired because everybody else was doing it and that was the culture there. And so now it's okay. Now everybody's in trouble.
Well, no, now he's saying look, they fired me. It was wrong.
Look at what a stand-up guy I am.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think what he's basically saying is if they're firing me for violating these ethics, but they do it every day,
that's what I'm
that
saying.
was wrongful termination.
Well, listen, to be accused of violating journalistic ethics, don't you have to be a journalist?
And don't you have to have ethics?
I mean, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's
another.
funny now.
Agreed. Yeah, also the idea of him accusing anyone of breaching ethics in media. It's like, did they not do enough reporting on the governor of New York? Did they not talk about him properly because there was some kind of conflict of interest there and they looked the other way on it? That's crazy.
It's not like you tried to help him.
Yeah,
what are you thinking, right? I was on there 2 or 3 times, and we watched this guy. Remember back during the pandemic when he was telling everybody to wear a mask, and then there's pictures of him out in public without a mask. I mean, it's unbelievable, the hypocrisy. It transcends so many parts of our culture. It's unbelievable.
I mean, he faked being in quarantine.
He did.
He pretended.
He did.
In his basement, right?
Yeah,
working out.
Yeah. When he was actually at one of his properties in the Hamptons, some guy in a fat tire bike rolls up and is like, hey, aren't you supposed to be quarantined? He's like, who are you? And he gets in his face.
Yeah.
I think we have a serious problem in this country where, we were talking just before the show downstairs, and I said we have a low light filter for the Chicken City. You said we need a low life.
A low life filter for Congress, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And I said, but that would get rid of basically everybody, but
Well,
maybe a handful of people.
That's true.
And, I'm just thinking about, there are so many people who believe CNN. They turn it on, or it's in the airport, or it's in their hotel rooms, and they listen to it, and they think this stuff is real. And now, even now with Cuomo coming out and being like, oh, yeah, they just blatantly breach ethics for ratings, there's still going to be people who just believe what they say.
Yeah.
Right. And they blatantly breached ethics for ratings. How'd that work for them, by the way?
Oh, Vern. No, you're
I
right.
know. Piling on.